I'm up and down like a yo-yo at the moment in terms of West Ham's upcoming transfer window, and I will just make the point there's still 2 or 3 days left to go until it opens. Now, it may well be that something we've all been crying out for quite some time is about to happen, and that is that West Ham may make a signing at the start of the window. How cool would that be? And completely unexpected and unpredicted. I'm talking about the Stade Rennais defender Nayef Aguerd. Now look, this is maybe not an exciting signing because it's not come from left of field. It's not a surprise. We've been linked with this guy for a little while. But as I said before, don't discount that. We have done business like this before. Areola was linked to us for a while, as was Zuma. That does happen. The more I look at him, the more I like this player, and the more I consider it to be David Moyes' choice, the more I think this is probably a good thing. The fees might seem quite high, about 25 million quid, something like that. But actually, when you look at the quoted prices for Nathan Ake, who's obviously another left-sided central defender, then this doesn't look such bad value because you won't be on anywhere near the wages that Ake was on. This ain't a bad transfer at all. And I've mentioned it before. There's another video on this channel. Go and search it if you want. I talk about all about the sort of attributes that he has on a football pitch. Obviously, if you're a patron, then you'll have seen our Euro expert has done a video, especially for us, on him as well. So that when we've got a couple more coming up in the near future as well about other potential West Ham signings. But anyway, my point is, I've said what I like about his technique, what I like about his gameplay, and why it's important that we get somebody that not only fits the system, but get somebody that David Moyes wants. What I do find interesting about this one is, though, he is a left-sided centre-half. Ogbonna's just signed a new deal, Angelo Ogbonna, and that's great news, by the way. I've not really had my say on that particular issue. I think it's really good that he's recovered from injury and done so to such an extent that the club and the medics feel confident that they can offer him a new deal and that he'll be worthwhile in offering him that. Now, I think what this does mean is that he's going to be fighting it out with the new signing, with Aguerd, for this place at left-sided centre-back. But there's lots of good news to this. Let me tell you some other bits of good news for this. What it does is it puts Kurt Zouma at right centre-back. He's stronger there. I know he's been okay. He's been pretty good. He's had some really good games at left centre-back, but it's not his position. It's on the right side of defence where he excels. So what we'll have is we'll have 2 really competent right-sided central defenders, because I think Diop's going, but by the 2, I mean Dawson and Zouma there. And then whoever is going to play left centre-back, I don't know, maybe Aguerd, maybe Ogbonna. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. But this is the sort of competition for places that David Moyes has always wanted. We always hear from David Moyes he wants a new centre-half, and once again it's become a priority position. Gio mentioned it when we did our, I can't remember, we did a Patreon video and it was a mug of tea possibly, and Gio went and looked at the stats and the statistic for when Ogbonna is not in the team in terms of the goals conceded and the points that we gain during the game are quite stark. It's really, really pronounced. Basically, we concede less goals and we win more games when Ogbonna's in the team. So this will shore up that part of the defence. We don't really have a massive problem with scoring goals, but that is not to say that we shouldn't sign a striker. We really should. And this is the bit where I've been sort of changing my mind on a little bit. And it's Armando Broja, Mandalorian Broja, if you will, if you're a regular subscriber to this channel. The narrative at the start was that we were only sort of half interested in him. And sometimes I bought into that and sometimes I didn't. I'll tell you how I feel today, because it does change on an almost daily basis. I don't believe it anymore. I think Moyes is interested. And actually, sometimes the simplest explanation is probably the one. Cast your mind back to when we played Southampton. And I'm thinking of one game I was at. I think Southampton might have won 3-2. I might have that slightly wrong. I was at the stadium. Probably had a beer. I can't remember exactly what happened. But I'll tell you what, he ran us ragged. I thought he was really, really good. And here's my point. If you're a manager and you're stood on the touchline, you're not going to not notice the player that is absolutely decimating your defence. And he was. I thought he was completely unplayable. I thought he was faster and I thought he was stronger than our defence. And I've already listed his attributes and why I think he would be a good fit for us. But there's no way that wasn't noticed by Moyes. Actually, it's less believable to actually think that David Moyes has seen the impact he's had against our defence, and thought, yeah, he's all right. Well, if I have to, I'll have him. I don't think so at all. I reckon David Moyes probably saw that and thought, I am well impressed. I've got to have him. Now, at that point, when West Ham played Southampton, it probably looked as if there was no chance of getting this player. He was on loan at Southampton, probably looking like if he was going to go anywhere, it'd be back to Southampton on another loan. But the Chelsea that there was at that time, very different to the Chelsea now. Nobody was going to be able to tell what was going to happen with the ownership, what happened with Roman Abramovich. And now it may well be a situation where Chelsea have got to cut their cloth a little bit. We don't know, but we suspect so. I think it's pretty clear he's not part of Tuchel's immediate plans. And somebody mentioned something in the comments, and apologies if I haven't got this exactly right. Someone mentioned something in the comments the other day, which were maybe Chelsea might want to give us preferential treatment because they're going to want first dibs on Declan Rice, who, let's be fair, ain't staying beyond next season. Declan Rice at West Ham for one more year. Unless something miraculous happens, like West Ham gets sold to someone really rich who's going to plough a lot of money in, or, I don't know, just something weird happens, we qualify, something weird like we qualify for the Champions League, or whatever. Declan Rice is off in one more season. And the clubs are lining up to get him because he's that good. And maybe, just maybe, I thought it was a fair and reasonable point. You're going to want to be at the front of the queue when West Ham are selling Declan Rice. And Chelsea might help themselves by putting themselves at the front of that queue by doing business and giving us a favourable deal. Now, my point on all of this is I'm not ready to write off this Broja deal. Far from it now. There's some news breaking today. It's not really breaking news. It's just rumours. It's gossip. We don't know. It could be true. It could be not. But it's listing a load of other clubs that are interested in him. Amongst those other clubs, we've already known that. We spoke about Forest, I think it was in yesterday's video, didn't we? Some a bit slightly bigger hitters than Forest as Napoli and Newcastle. This is the time for the schmoozing to come out. All right? This is where we do it. This is where we basically... I was going to use a terrible turn of phrase then. I'm not going to do it. This is where we show how much we mean business. Yeah, excuse me. We've got to show how much we mean business. We basically got to stand up to both Newcastle, to Napoli. We've got to use whatever influence we might have. We've done business with Chelsea, with Zuma again recently. And we have to go in there and we have to demonstrate to Chelsea that we want him. Most importantly, we have to demonstrate to Broja that we want him. Not only want him, I'd go with need him. Let's go with that one. I'll be pitching that at him as well. Because I do think he is a tremendous player. Of course there are going to be other clubs interested. He is one of the hottest properties in the Premier League in terms of a young player. He's only, do you know what? Maybe I should have looked before I did this video. He's about 20. He's not very old at all. He's 20, 21, something like that. With players like this, you get one chance to sign him, realistically. You don't get him after his next move, because after his next move, he's probably worth 70, 80 million. Something like that. You have to go and get him now. You have to show ambition. You have to be quick. But I mentioned at the start of the transfer window that actually West Ham, and I mentioned at the start of this video, sometimes we are just linked with players and sometimes that comes to fruition. Those are the transfers that we get. Now, I'm not saying that's all we get, but we know that David Moyes wants a centre-half. We've discussed Aguerd. That appears to be happening. It looks like that transfer is going to happen. Almost we've got a bit of a clear run. Apparently Sevilla are also interested. Make no mistake about it. If we beat Sevilla to this signing, then that shows that West Ham are progressing. I don't care what anyone says. 2 years ago, Youssef Nesri had barely heard of West Ham and he was at Sevilla and didn't want to come. Now we've actually beaten them. We knocked them out in the knockout rounds in Europe. So let's be perfectly honest. Our standing in the game is pretty high at the moment. And if we can look at one of the... basically a player that we want, a Sevilla want, and we win, not just because we pay the most money, but because actually we have European football as well. That's got to be a good thing. So, just looking at today, there are loads of other transfer rumours and gossip today, but I think West Ham are about to do some imminent business, good business, not naughty business, and I do now think I have switched my opinion. I think we're seriously after Broja.